Hey everybody, welcome to the 1804 show. I'm your host, Dollar Will, and this is episode 72. Hope everybody good. Um, I don't have no guests coming tonight, but I'm just gonna, share my thoughts. Want to show off my new glasses, my new specs. I wanted to go vintage 1960s. So I hope everybody like them. Hope everybody enjoy them because I definitely enjoy them. I love the frames and it cost me a lot of money, but they finally here. Now I can see. I was roughing it with these episodes being blind. But other than that, just wanted to say happy birthday to Malcolm X. He would have been 96 this year if he would have not got assassinated. But I just wanted to just give my thoughts, how much of a great man he was, and how much of a great leader, and how much of a great father, mentor, teacher that he was. And it's just so sad that a lot of our generation didn't even know today was his birthday. And I think a lot of people would have not known unless I posted it. And that just shows you how bad that this generation is to not know Malcolm X's birthday. Excuse me, got a mosquito in here. Okay, got him. But yeah, it's just so bad how a lot of people don't know who Malcolm X was and how much he contribute to the culture and contribute to loving black people and to the Islamic slash Muslim communities. A lot of people forget that he was assassinated in New York. And I know a lot of times, a lot of people don't get a chance to really discuss the racism that was up north. A lot of the racism be showcased in the South, but a lot of people don't really understand the seriousness of how it was in the North. And just because a lot of it was pretty much propaganda, like they like to use the South as examples when they talk about the civil rights movement and they talk about the old days, but they don't talk about the North. And here was a man whose father got murdered in Michigan. A lot of people don't really talk about his father. His father was a very, I would say, a charismatic, um, independent preacher who was following Marcus Garvey and stuff. And pretty much he became his father, and it's weird. Like his life, which is really, really interesting. Just to hear and watch and to read about his father and how he passed. They both met the same demise. They both was killed, assassinated, um, doing what they love, loving black people, and got assassinated for it. but it's just a very eerie observation when you sit back and think about it. And, just the fact that, you know, it all started in Nebraska and then moved to Michigan. And pretty much the Klan there was just harassing and, you know, while, he was a kid, his mother would get awoken by Klansmen breaking up windows and shooting shotguns and setting fires and stuff. And he wasn't intimidated. They even burnt their house down that they were staying in. And so, they literally killed him. But since they couldn't prove it that he was murdered, they pretty much, wrote his dad's death as a suicide instead of a homicide. And I can imagine why he had such a chip on his shoulder for whites. I can understand that. To lose both your parents at a young age and have all your siblings um, separated. I can get it. I understand it. His life was literally taken from him. But I respect the transformation because his childhood had compelled them to becoming a pimp, a hustler, a pusher, a drug user, a womanizer. I can literally understand, what compelled him to becoming all those things from his childhood. But little do you know, they don't talk about him staying with his sister. So I watched a couple of interviews with his sister and how, she pretty much was like a surrogate mother to him and took him under his wing, well, under her wing, sorry, and pretty much was, very tough on him, very strict, and he just pretty much wanted to run the streets and stuff. And him and Shorty and his friends, would do like burglaries and carjackings and, selling illegal liquor and all this other stuff. Because, he was living during Prohibition. But, he pretty much got sent to jail for messing with white women. That was a no-no back in the day. So I know a lot of you guys, watched the movie, but, there wasn't no guy named Baines. His brother was the reason why he converted to Islam. He joined the Nation of Islam because his brother was already in it. So his brother, they would write each other letters back and forth and talk about, hey, you need to meet with the great Elijah Muhammad, and that's how he was converted and how he joined the nation was his brother. But the movie says otherwise. But pretty much, it just a lot of people ask me, how do I feel about the Nation of Islam? I get questions about that. Even though um, they helped him and they groomed him, pretty much trained him to be like the national speaker, you know, gave him a sense of purpose and gave him a sense of dignity and all that, confidence. I would say that that was the good thing about it, was that they took brothers off the street and they gave them a sense of belonging. They gave them their confidence back. They gave them their manhood back and taught them a lot of things and taught them about a whole lot of self-discipline. And that's one thing I can say that I enjoy about the Nation of Islam. But also, the bad thing about it was the criminal activity, the drug enterprise, and the crime that they committed, and the hypocritical comments and how they moved. Because it was just pretty much was like, you know, they didn't hold their leaders accountable. They didn't hold their captains accountable. It was pretty much like a cult following, if you ask me. Just going by interviews and newspapers and reading and this and that. I'm not knocking no one's religion, but it's just what it is. And I just think that a lot of, black folks, man, everybody wants to basically make their heroes perfect. And there's no perfect human being. No perfect human being ever existed. I ain't never met no perfect human being in my life. So we have to, be honest. And sometimes, like, we want to put our leaders and the people that we worship or the people that we idolize on this high pedestal. Like they can't do no wrong. But they're human. They're men, just like me and you. Nobody's is the exception. But I would say that during that time of racism, it was good for black men to have something to feel like a man again. Because when you think about it, we was being treated like dogs and like second class citizens. And a lot of people don't want to talk about it, but I feel that, you know, they had something to do with his death, his assassination. And pretty much he wasn't, for the bullshit. Like, to me, I feel like he's the only leader, one of the only leaders that we had. Couldn't be bought, couldn't sell, didn't sell out, didn't throw nobody under the bus. Like he was real, he was authentic. He called you out. If he felt like you wasn't doing your part or you wasn't practicing what you was preaching, he called you out. And I can respect that about him, because he was really intelligent. And I think the fact that he was told as a kid that he would never be a lawyer because he wanted to be a lawyer, and his teacher told him like, no, you a nigger. What kind of nigger will be a lawyer? You good with your hands, Malcolm. How about you be a carpenter? How about you be a mechanic or a janitor? And I think that really messed him up. But Malcolm X would have been a great lawyer, just how he was very very challenging and stuff, and very persuasive with his words. He had great wordplay. He always was very good with words and very passionate. So he would have won some cases. But I appreciate that, sister. I really do. I'll be seeing y'all comments, but I just be in the zone. But I really appreciate y'all comments. I really do. Okay. But anyway, um, what I liked about him and Martin or whatever was that they were still young. They was both intelligent. Both of them came from different walks of life. You know, pretty much Malcolm came and got everything out the mud, while Martin pretty much came from a middle class Baptist setting. He grew up in the South and everything. Coming from preachers and teachers. You know, because his father, Martin Luther King Sr., he was he was a good man too. He was bad too. Hold on, give me 1 second, guys. My screen froze. Okay, I'm back. But a lot of people really don't know that those two was being used to go against each other to um, cause division, because that's what they love to do. When it's two black men who's influential, they love to see them fight. Because the crowd want to see it. The crowd always want to see two black men fight and shoot each other and just tear each other down. You know what I'm saying? And I just, wish that they would have had caught on to it when they did. But, it's just a lot of people really don't know how Dr. King um, and Malcolm became cool. But at the time, before, Malcolm got assassinated, he was homeless. He was pretty much, broke. He got evicted from his home by the, nation. The nation paid for pretty much everything that he had because he was a speaker. He worked for him. So when he was put on suspension and indefinitely, um, he had to get everything back. So at that time, Malcolm was just looking for anything that looking for something to do. So a lot of it, I would say like a lot of it really started from basically Robert Stokes. He was a friend of Malcolm X who was murdered in California by police officers. And Malcolm was so outraged, he was so mad to the point that he was pretty much wanted revenge. He wanted bloodshed, eye for an eye type thing. So he was told to come back home because he was in LA, was about to, you know, incite a riot because his friend got killed. I get it. I understand it. But he was preaching what Elijah Muhammad was telling him to say, and then Elijah Muhammad didn't want to get involved with civil rights. He was making so much money off the nation. They was generating millions and millions of dollars because they didn't have to pay taxes because they was a religious organization. So I just tell people that you got to be careful who you following, and the ironic thing about all of this was both of them was on FBI surveillance. They was all being wiretapped, phones tapped, being followed. And so many FBI documents on Dr. King and Malcolm X. Elijah Muhammad, if he was a black man, a powerful, influential, charismatic black man back in them days, J. Edgar Hoover had you on watch. They was watching you. And that's why I be telling people you don't never want to meet your heroes because you're gonna be disappointed. Because our heroes, celebrities and stuff like that, they just like us. They just regular people. They just, got a little fame, got a little money. But you will be so heartbroken to find out who they really are. Because not everybody has integrity. Not everybody has the notion to walk away from it all. So, so that's why we got to be careful who we idolize and who we look up to. Because just like me, I got told that I was a black leader, and I don't think I'm a black leader. I'm just a person that just tell it like it is. I stand up for myself. I stand up for what I believe in. A lot of times I may be wrong, and I just sit back and think about when I do become famous, when I do become, I guess, comfortable and living a lavish lifestyle. Will my past come back to haunt me? Because that's what they do to us. They go back to our past and try to bring some shit up to try to discredit us and try to get the general public to turn on people. Now, the people that support me, my supporters, would y'all stand by me or would y'all help them tear me down? I don't know, but it just gets scary knowing that you have influence and you have a following, you have a platform that people, tune in and listen and this and that. But those same people that support you will end up hating you in the end, not knowing that you're human too, not knowing that you was um, going through things or you was having problems or people don't want to hear that. The first thing they do is believe the media, and the media has helped destroy us and pretty much tell you guys how to feel about a person. I would say that when I look back at my Facebook memories, I get disgusted sometimes of the things I used to say, but I'm not that person anymore. I sin, I do wrong, I smoke, I drink. I'm not perfect, you know. I'm just a man. People don't even think I'm a man because I'm young. But I'm a work in progress. God isn't finished with me yet, just like He isn't finished with you yet. And that's the thing that I love about those two men was because they weren't perfect. They really tried to get the public to turn on Dr. King because of the alleged affairs that he had with Coretta. Like even though it's not right, but I would say that realistically, for a man that's on the road, that's traveling to different cities, you know, anything could happen. You know, it happens, but she still stayed with him. She still stayed down with him. Never, pretty much was petty or tore his name down to the mud or to the ground. And I can respect that about her because she stayed down with her man, with her husband until she died. Even, went to court to prove that it was the U.S. government that had a hand of his murder, of his assassination. Now that's love, because a good woman is gonna stay with you no matter what, regardless of your flaws or your infidelities. You know, because she understands like nobody's perfect, but we so quick to leave people. We so quick to demonize a person, slander a person because of, we left a person alone. Like that's when all the secrets come out. When a person walks away from you or don't want to be with you, then it's time to assassinate their character. Excuse me. But what made me respect Malcolm X was the fact that he went to the source. You know what I'm saying? He didn't stay in New York. He didn't stay in America and just became a Muslim. You know, he went all the way to Mecca. You know, he went to Egypt and he went to the Middle East and did the pilgrimage. You know, it's just so nice to see. You know, to me, I feel like I have my favorite moments with Malcolm X, but that was like my favorite moment when he went to the Middle East and gained his Islamic name, and he came back with the mustache and then the goatee and stuff. He went through a lot, and just the fact that he was so brave and courageous. Like, I think that um, if he would have folded, I don't think he would have got those phone calls nonstop, or people coming to his house to put a bomb in his car, or the members, sending threatening messages and stuff like that on a daily basis. I think all that would have stopped if he would have folded, if he would have just, you know, conformed and obliged by whoever rules. And there's an actual recording that he met with a agent to see if he would go snitch, and he didn't snitch. He even set it up himself because he knew that they was gonna get him to snitch, and I really admire him for that. And here we are, in our 30s, and a lot of us is bullshitting. A lot of us is taking this 30 shit for granted. We take our time for granted. And a lot of people don't really sit back and understand, like, man, like a lot of people back in them days was so mature compared to where we at now. We have so many childish 20s, 30s, and 40s year olds walking among us. But them back in the day, man, they had everything together, because they had no choice. They had to, you know, like they had families. And now it's like when you see a black family or whatever, all you see is the mom and the kids. You don't really see fathers like that. But they try to paint that as the black family. Like fathers don't exist. Like black fathers just extinct or something. And there's a lot of black fathers still walking among us, but they don't get the credit. And y'all think I'm lying? Wait till Father's Day. But again, I respect the fact that both of them was great fathers. Malcolm X had all daughters, and Dr. King, I believe, had four children. He had Bernice, he had Dexter, he had Martin, and I always forget the other one, but yeah, they both was good fathers, and they both loved their children, and they loved their wives. Regardless of Dr. King's cheating or whatever, people want to, judge him for. That's your right, but hey, It happens. But I just think that people just really need to sit back and really think about what they done and how they accomplished so much in Black history. It's just so, to me, I feel like it's so sad how Dr. King have this big old center where he's buried at, but Malcolm X is buried at a regular cemetery. There's no big tomb, there's no statue, there's no, like no cave or no mosque. Like he's buried in a regular cemetery in upstate New York. And after this, I'm gonna show y'all the comparison. you know, I'm gonna show y'all what I'm talking about. But we really need to give Malcolm X his flowers, his credit, because regardless of the fact that he could have been killed at any given moment, and just the fact that he didn't fold, he didn't run, he was like the bravest man I know I ever heard of, because that's bravery, you know, when you get people to call you and say they're gonna kill you and like you dead every day, you got kids and you got a family, you know, and the fact that you didn't run, that you didn't be like, all right, I give up, y'all win. He made the ultimate sacrifice, and somebody who to not make it, they both didn't make it to 40, and 40, back then was something. Now 40 ain't shit. When you think about it now, you're like, damn, you 40, that's it. Man, it's like a lot of great people back then were so older than their age, and I'm 33 years old, so I have outlived a lot of people that was somebody back in them days. I outlived Fred Hampton, I outlived Tupac, I outlived Mark Clark, I outlived Lil Bobby Hutton, I outlived um Michael Donald. I outlived a lot of people, and I'm only 33, and I'm just starting. So when you really sit back and think about it, like, damn, like they was only 39 years old, but yet they have been dead longer than they have lived. That's deep. And a lot of us really take what we have now for granted. Because I don't care what nobody say. The stuff that they was, trying to manipulate us with, talking about, Black Lives Matter and all this other stuff last year. Um, we will never understand what they went through. We will never understand just the feeling of feeling like, oh, you're nothing and all that stuff. We would never understand it. So just I can't imagine being murdered by my own people like that. How they did Malcolm, just shot him up in front of his wife and his kids. And the craziest thing about it, he was already dead. Like the shotgun to the chest killed him instantly. But the other 17 shots was overkill. But he was already dead. He was already wheezing and gasping. you know. But I just tell people this, like, regardless if you're a Christian, regardless if you're a Muslim, regardless of if you're Israelite, regardless of if you're a Catholic, you're still black. They don't care about what religious ties you have. They just see you as a nigga, just like me. And we need to get into the understanding of that. Because a lot of us just think that we're the exception, that we're so privileged, or this is beyond me. That can't happen to me. Oh, yes, it can. It can happen to you. And we got to be very cautious about that because everything got to be black first. Everything got to be about our people first because everybody else think about their people first. Everybody else um, is making money. Everybody else can do things except us. Everybody getting rich off us. But we so busy in competition with one another. We so busy trying to kill each other. We busy in everybody else's business, but not our business. We need to start working on ourselves. We need to start getting in our own communities. Um, we need to gentrify our communities instead of having everybody else do it. And I know that a lot of people ain't gonna like what I gotta say, but it's the truth. I don't gotta lie, but I gotta lie for. Y'all see it every time y'all go outside. You see it when you driving down the street. You see it. You see that. You know, there's no Black History Month like that no more. Like how we was in school, like they would celebrate Black History Month. They would decorate the walls. They would allow us to watch movies and all that stuff. But man, that stuff ain't don't exist no more. Nobody teaches us our history no more like that. They give us a particular narrative about Dr. King, how he just did, I have a dream and that's it. But Dr. King was pretty much woke the last 2 years of his life after he met with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And he was going to do some big things, and that's why he was killed. And there was a lot of speeches that never got publicized. And even he said at the march, well, on the March of Washington, and he pretty much said, the Negro is living in exile in his own land. So he pretty much told us that this was our country, this is our land. You know, didn't say um, we in a stolen land. This is our land. Dr. King was giving us clues, both of them. They was giving us jams. They was giving us the blueprint, and we didn't listen. Nobody listened. Like that man had a plan. That man had vision. And I just love the fact before Malcolm died, they was able to patch things up. They was able to reconcile, and they was able to become friends. And after they died, both their friends, well, both their wives, excuse me, both their wives became friends and was like, sisters, raised their kids together type thing. So I wasn't gonna make this video long, but I just wanted to tell you guys how I felt. And we really need to push this to be a national holiday, Malcolm X's birthday, because Malcolm X contributed. He gave his life for us, and a lot of us doesn't appreciate it. A lot of us doesn't take heed or give it the same energy that we do Dr. King. which, there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm just saying that Dr. King and Malcolm X um, was very quite similar. And I believe that Dr. King really respected Malcolm, and Malcolm respected Dr. King. It's just, two competitive spirits. So, but yeah, guys, I hope y'all liked the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button. I'm out.